Hi, I'm Deanne Lawrence. I'm a co-director of the Research Writing and Advocacy program here at Michigan State University College of Law, and I'm here to talk to you about the transition from undergraduate writing to law school writing. When we think of lawyers, we often think of lawyers as they're portrayed in the media, and we see lawyers in courtrooms. These are actually the lawyers from the O.J. Simpson trial from the 80s. But really, lawyers spend most of our time at our computer. We're professional writers. And we're professional writers because we make our money writing. When we go to law school to get jobs, and lawyers are professional writers and also professional speakers as well. So thinking about the differences between undergraduate writing and legal writing, first of all, we think about our audience. When you're an undergraduate, you're writing for your professor, versus in law school, we have hypothetical problems and we're writing for a client. Second, we think about the difference in purpose. In undergraduate writing, we're writing to demonstrate learning, versus in law school writing, we're trying to solve a client's problem. And the writing is more analytical as opposed to just describing what you've learned. And then finally, we think about style. Unfortunately, lawyers have a bad reputation when it comes to style. This is what we think about often when we think about style and legal writing. I am herewith returning the stipulation to dismiss in the above entitled matter, the same being duly executed by me. Well, legal writing professors, we try and tell our students not to write this way. We try and train them not to write this way. Instead, we want to write clearly and concisely. So here is this sentence rewritten. Enclosed is a signed stipulation to dismiss the Smith case. Finally, when we think about differences between undergraduate writing and legal writing, the process is different. In undergraduate writing, many students subscribe to the Red Bull method of writing. You get an assignment maybe a couple weeks before, but the deadline's approaching. It's 8 o'clock before the paper's due, and you pull out whatever your caffeine is of choice and start caffeinating so you can pull an all-nighter and turn your paper in at 10 o'clock the next morning. In legal writing, the biggest difference is that we do a lot more revision than you do in undergraduate writing, and we do a lot more editing. When you do a first draft in legal writing, that is only a first draft. We have multiple drafts. So that is a big difference. You can see here, this is actually a photograph of President Obama's, one of his State of Union addresses, and you can see the kind of editing that he's doing as a lawyer in trying to fine-tune his State of the Union address. All of you all are writers. You've all had lots of experience of writing. You've been successful in your writing, or you wouldn't be thinking about law school or having been admitted to law school. And what you need to be thinking about is, what are the strengths and weaknesses of the writing that you've done up to date? Everybody has their own strengths and weaknesses, and you need to get to know those strengths and weaknesses, because then you know what to look for as far as how to fine-tune your drafting process or how to fine-tune your editing process. For example, the students I've had that are English and journalism majors, so one of their strengths is they think of themselves as writers. They've done a lot of writing, and they think of grammar, punctuation, style, and often are quite attuned to grammar, punctuation, style. A weakness might be that the grammar, punctuation, style that they've learned is going to be different when you get to law school. We have different conventions in legal writing. For example, we use more punctuation because often what we're writing about is quite complex, and so extra commas, using more commas is called open punctuation as opposed to closed punctuation, can make our writing more clear. And so that can be an adjustment for students who are coming from an English or a journalism background. My social science majors that I've seen over the years, one of their strengths is they've done a lot of writing. Often they've written long papers. One of the weaknesses is that in the social science genre of writing, I often see a lot of passive voice. Even in academic writing, even the best writers of social science tend to use a lot of passive voice. And in legal writing, we want to get rid of passive voice, and we typically prefer the active voice. Science majors that I've seen, often science majors, if you're taking biology and chemistry, physics, you're not doing as many writing assignments, so you haven't had the experience perhaps in writing. But one of the strengths of my science majors I see is that they really think analytically. And so that can be a real strength as it translates into the legal analysis that we're doing in legal writing. And then finally, business majors that I have over the years, one of the strengths of business majors that I've seen is that they are tuned to be thinking about a client. In other words, they're thinking about writing for their business or the corporation that they're working for. And that's also what we're thinking about in legal writing, is working for our client, whether it be a person or a corporation. And so they're used to kind of technical writing. Weakness is often, sometimes I see my business majors haven't done as lengthy papers and maybe as much writing as some of the other students I have coming to law school. Next, thinking about grammar, punctuation, style. As I already alluded to, grammar, punctuation, style in professional legal writing is quite different from other fields. And so we think about comma usage. We use more commas. We want to avoid pronouns. We think about sentence length and trying to make our sentences shorter to be more clear. And also, finally, details matter. So here's an example. This comma was worth $888,000. And you can see it right here and highlighted in red. There was litigation over this comma. People spent lots and lots of money litigating the meaning of this comma, and it was worth this much money. So little details like commas can make a huge difference in legal writing. Next, we want to avoid pronouns. We want to avoid pronouns because we want to be more clear. So here's an example. Officer Robert O'Malley, who arrested Howard Davis, said that he was drunk at the time. Was it Officer Robert O'Malley who was drunk? So if we're going to rewrite it to be more clear, we repeat the noun there. According to the arresting officer, Robert O'Malley, Howard Davis was drunk at the time of the arrest. And sentence length. I mentioned already that we like to use shorter sentences so that our sentences are crystal clear. And one guideline that we talk about is keeping sentences 20 words or less. And then finally, details matter. And what I'm getting at with details matter is that we need to do a lot of editing and looking for those mistakes, the grammar, punctuation, style issues, because we want a very clean document for our client. Again, our client is paying for our writing, so we want to give them an excellent product. So here's some examples of typos I've seen in student work in recent years. Jumpstart paid a fee to use the school. Well, obviously that should be fee. And that's an example of an error that spell check won't catch. Here's another issue. The camp promotes the school's mission. So rather than being plural schools, we want to use the possessive. And again, spell check doesn't always catch that. And then here's another one. The recreational use statute was enacted in 2006. I see lots of statutes running around in my papers that students turn in, but really what they meant to say is statutes. And again, spell check will not recognize that error. And so we need to think about how are we going to be effective editors in our writing so we can reduce those mistakes. Finally, just some final tips for success in legal writing. As we've been talking about, know your strengths and weaknesses. Even very experienced writers have their weaknesses, and by being aware of them, then you can compensate for them. Be open to learning and feedback. That's not easy. You all are all very experienced. You've been successful in undergraduate education, and now really you're starting with a whole new way of writing. And so if you're more open to learning and feedback, it's going to really pay off. Spend time revising. You can't just do that first draft and say that's the end of the day. Take the time at the end as you're drafting to do more revision, more editing. And management. I hear that again and again and again from professors at the law school, other colleagues that I have around the country, is that time management can be a key difference in whether a student is successful or not. And that's a really big challenge because we throw a lot at you in legal writing and all of your other courses as well. So time management is something to work on. Use your resources. Here at Michigan State, we have lots of great resources. Our legal writing classes are very small. There are only 14 to 18 students typically. So your professor has office hours, and so that's a great resource. We have writing seminar, which is part of our legal writing course. And Professor Francis, who has a PhD in English, runs the writing seminar. And that's to help students make that transition from undergraduate writing to professional legal writing. Read good writing. I think if we do a lot of reading, of good reading, that translates into better writing. So students always ask me what to do to prepare for law school, and I always say, find some good things to read, whether it be a quality newspaper, whether it be novels, nonfiction, whatever, no matter, it could be a lot of different things, but find good writing to read. And then finally, something for success in legal writing and all through law school, find your stress busters. As you are finishing up undergrad and have your summer, think about the things that help you manage stress. It might be meditation. It might be watching a favorite TV show. It might be a podcast you like to listen to. It might be playing with your dog, going for walks, exercise. There's all kinds of ways to manage stress, but work on those stress busters and be able to pull them out when you get to law school. Well, it's been my pleasure talking to you this afternoon. My email address is there. You can also find me in the law school directory on the MSU webpage. If you have any questions, feel free to contact me, and I look forward to seeing you here in the fall. Thanks so much. Bye-bye.